Good day everyone and welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to be discussing My Hero Academia. Of course, spoiler warning before we begin, and let's dive straight into it. So today chapter 332 titled, this is a mouthful, State of the Art Hypersonic Intercontinental Cruise Missiles, I assume, because the missiles part not there. But the chapter starts off with a brief flashback of Star and the fighter jet pilots, and she's talking about the limits of her ability. So in regards to that, she's saying when it came to boosting my own power with the ability, there was always a hard limit on what I could do. And through a glance you would think that my quirk could do anything, or almost anything. But no matter what the rule is, again, it never really worked out right when it came to powering myself up. And we see some of the guys are telling her, don't worry about it. That's not on you. That's just how your quirk is. That's just how your quirk was made. So, maybe that's how it is. Essentially, that's the gist of it. And we see her thinking to herself that those who knew me well would say at the end of the day, a quirk reflects what's inside of you. And after all, maybe I'm a girl, and that's why the quirk isn't that strong. But she gets reassurance from the men in her group that maybe it's just the quirk, it's not you, it's the quirk. But we cut back to present now, and we see the missiles are inbound towards where her big laser light beam is hitting the ground. And she tells the guys that the missiles are coming, they're in range, so I'll be undoing the laser, but when I do, I need you guys to take cover and get away from this explosion. So there's a lot of dialogue in this chapter, again, like the previous ones. I'm trying to just break it down into tiny bits so we don't have to stroll through what happens. But essentially, she's undoing the laser that has Shigaraki pinned to the ground, and that laser would be the lasers for all the jets that were united into one to pin him to the ground last chapter. And she's thinking to herself, when I switch over to these bombs, or not her, but Shigaraki is thinking to himself that this has me pinned down, and that means she's waiting for something, because this attack isn't powerful enough to take me down. So that means she's waiting for something. So we see Shigaraki using big brain time and thinking things through. So Star again tells them to we'll be sure to keep his or the men are telling Star that they'll be sure to keep his regeneration to a minimum while she switches over to hit him with the big boom. And basically, how do you put this into words? But basically, her giant air silhouette, that's what I'll call it, because remember, they couldn't see anything when her giant air silhouette formed. So we see it in the chapter, but I don't think anyone else can see it. So the giant silhouette of her that's holding the laser stretches out its other arm, and what it essentially does is grab all the missiles that were flying towards them, and she turns the missiles around holding it, and in her mind she's like, even if I lose an arm or I remain with one finger, the goal of this is to use this and slam it onto him. So she uses new order, and she says Tiamont is redirected, which is the name of the missiles, and she holds it and slams it straight down like she did with the lasers, and we get the attack, which is essentially the title of the chapter, State of the Art Hypersonic Intercontinental Cruise Punch. and she slams it into the ground, and we see a giant explosion. Now, after this huge explosion, we see shockwaves all around. We see Endeavor, who's flying, notices it and is shocked. And we see Star is shot back from the wave of energy and heat and wind from the explosion. And we see giant crater in the ocean, but we notice there's a hole in the bottom of the crater, and this is where Shigaraki seemed to have been, and we see him jump out of that hole looking kinda like nightmare fuel, because I'm looking at the image now, and again his lips are gone, there's just teeth, it looks like an eye is gone, his hair is gone, skin from around his entire body is gone, and he jumps up towards Star. And we get again more dialogue with what Shigaraki did, and essentially what he did is, while he was being hit with the laser, he used his decay to make a tunnel underneath it, and that second or 1 second or a few seconds of delay with her switching between attacks gave him time to escape. So he went into the hole to hide, and then after the explosion he came out. We then see all of the fighter jets tried to spring on him and attack and get back into formation and give Star somewhere to land, but Shigaraki seems to make the Nomu explode, because he says now burst, and we see the Nomu, so I'm not sure he made the Nomu explode. Maybe he did, but essentially Shigaraki jumps on the fighter jet and says, me and myself make better use of your resources. So he's telling that to Star and the fighter jet pilot, or is it fighter jet pilot, the plane pilot. But you see, this is a setup. So while he's on the plane, we see the giant air silhouette in the background looming. And by looming I mean it's just there in the background with his hands kind of like this outstretched, and the fighter jet pilot tells Star to do it now, and I assume what he's talking about is to probably clap again and crush them. But we see in her head she has a mini sort of flashback, and she's like she hesitates basically because she can't bring herself to do this attack to kill one of her own as well as Shigaraki, and that momentary hesitation causes Shigaraki to leap up and grab her face, and the chapter essentially ends like that. And now we're left wondering, when he grabs her face, is he going to steal her quirk? And if he does steal her quirk, this is going to make him super OP, and I don't think anyone will be able to stop him. But the chapter ends there. So this chapter again was really dialogue heavy. Very, very dialogue heavy. More dialogue than normal. So for those who don't want to read all that dialogue, quick gist of the chapter: Shigaraki got away when Star was going to switch attacks. When he got away, he managed to get the upper hand because Star hesitated to finish him off because one of her men was in the line of sight for the attack. And in doing so, Shigaraki got the upper hand and grabbed her face, and the chapter ended there. Now, again, can he just steal her power? She can't touch him now. Would she be able to just grab him and say, person in front of me, tan rips off? Because I mean, she needs to know his name, but we saw the name part didn't work last few chapters, so conundrum. Or does someone make it in time to help her? So questions, because it would really suck to have her power trained in her first big appearance. So a lot of questions, need some answers next chapter. I know we'll get a resolution to that, so I'll see you all for that resolution next week. And yeah, pretty good chapter, very dialogue heavy again, but aside from that, it was good. It was better than Black Clover. Black Clover was just dialogue heavy for the entirety of the chapter. So yeah, again, I'll see you all next week for the next one. Bye.